Hey guys, before we start this video, I wanted to announce that we are sponsored with CyberPower PCs, and I'll be getting a discount code soon. For now though, I will leave their website down in the description below, so you can go check out their wares. Thanks guys! Sword and Shield are nearing their release, and as I've mentioned in many other videos, there is still a lot of stuff that we don't know about these games, and that's intentional. In multiple interviews, Game Freak have mentioned that they have kept the information to a minimum this time around so that all players have a lot more to discover once the games finally come out. Part of the things they want us to discover upon release are the different features in Sword and Shield, which naturally made me curious if these are all brand new features, or if there would be some fan favorites returning as well. So today, I decided to bring you all the list of features I believe everyone would like to see to make a return or debut in Pokemon Sword and Shield. But I'm not alone, as I have a friend with me to go over these different mechanics. Go ahead and introduce yourself, bud.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffle and I will today be joining Mystic Run for this top 10 video, as we're going to take a look at some of the features that all of us would love to see return in the upcoming Pokemon Sword and Shield games, and considering they're very close by, it really makes sense to take a look at some of this stuff and what we would love to see. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we will be doing a secondary top 10 video, which is going to be the top 10 Pokemon that everybody wants to use in Pokemon Sword and Shield over on my channel, so go check that one out. Alright then, ladies and gentlemen, now over to Mystic.
Thanks again for joining me, man. It's great to have you. We definitely put a lot of thought into this list, so hopefully you all agree with the different choices we have. Anyways, with that being said, let's hop right into this featured pack list.
So the first feature we're going to talk about today is probably one of the more popular and wanted ones on this list, that being Horde battles. Now, Horde battles were introduced in Pokemon X and Y and only made a second appearance in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Now, Horde battles were just a plain fun because not only did it feel like an event that would actually happen in a Pokemon-filled world, but it offered a lot of different experiences for different players. For the competitive crowd, you could hunt a Pokemon with a hidden ability or use them as fodder to increase certain IVs on your Pokemon. For the shiny hunters, it definitely sped up the process of finding certain Pokemon that were shiny a bit. So with how great Horde battles were, why did they not make the cut for Alola? Well, this might be because Sun and Moon were more graphically intensive than the previous two entries and struggle with a good amount of, double battles from time to time. So I can understand why Game Freak opted to not having Hordes, return in this generation. With that being said, it didn't make it any less disappointing to see them disappear, but with Sword and Shield being on the more powerful Nintendo Switch, I could see them easily bringing back Horde battles. Now, if they can have gigantic Pokemon versus 4-player controlled Pokemon with virtually no problems, then I don't see why 6 normal-sized Pokemon on screen would be a big deal. However, if they were to bring Horde battles back, I would hope that they could improve upon them in a few different areas. So one of the big ones being to allow players to catch all 5 Pokemon if they want to. It doesn't happen often, but there are some people that have gotten 2 shinies in the same Horde and it had to make the painful decision of knocking one out to get the other one. I just feel like letting people have the option to catch all of them would be much better. I mean, if Ash could catch all 30 of those Tauros at once, why can't we get 5? Now, regardless if that change happens or not, doesn't matter. As long as it returns to the Pokemon series, I'm sure we'll all be pretty happy.
Next, we have a feature that hasn't really shown itself since Gen 2, being the option to do gyms out of order. Now, I'm not necessarily saying being able to do every gym in any order you want, but definitely following what Gens 1 and 2 set up for this series would be a nice amount of freedom. Just 2 or 3 gyms being beaten whenever you choose would be nice. Although the idea of going to any gym whenever you want is still an interesting concept for sure. Even if you get your butt handed to you, it would still be nice to at least give it a shot. Like how you would take on Ganon right away in Breath of the Wild. Sure, you're more than likely going to lose, but giving players a chance to overcome the adversity would really be fun and can make for interesting playthroughs of speedruns. I don't think this concept returning is too far-fetched, as the gigantic wild area can be reached within an hour or 2 of starting Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I think that it is definitely possible that we'd be able to head to different towns depending which direction we chose to take.
Now, this next feature is a pretty mixed bag, as I've seen people both love and hate it, but I think Game Freak should take another shot at the Soaring mechanic that was introduced in Oras. Now, if you didn't like the execution, you have to at least agree that the premise of Soaring was a good one. Being able to hop on a flying Pokemon and control it to fly to any part of the region, that's just plain fun in concept, and something I think most Pokemon fans would enjoy. if improved upon. Sword and Shield are on the better hardware with access to better controller options compared to the 3DS, so I think Game Freak would be able to make a much smoother experience. Now, of course, they're going to have Corby Night Taxis that will replace the HM status of, like, you know, Fly, but I don't see the conflicting with a successor to Soar. Like, I don't know why that would be an issue. That would be strictly for quick travel, whereas Soar would be used for more of a scenery-admiring form of travel. Think of Spider-Man 4 on PS4. Sure, if you're in a hurry to do a mission, you might take the subway to just get it done, but if you want to feel immersed in the game, you'll choose to swing around New York. Same concept here. Take the Corby Night Taxi if you need to get somewhere ASAP, but if you just want to admire the beauty of the Galar region from high in the sky on the back of a Charizard, they will choose Soul. ORAS wasn't that amazing looking, but seeing the entire region from above was extremely exciting. And we feel with Galar, that just might be an even better experience.
Now for this feature, it would be both new and returning. I'm talking about side quests. We got a taste of these in the Alola games and even Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And while those small side quests were fun and all, they didn't feel fully fleshed out. What I want to see are mini series of side quests that can range from short to long, to even multi-chapter. If we could get something that even slightly resembled Majora's Mask, Breath of the Wild, or Final Fantasy, I think many Pokemon fans would be pleased. At the very least, I think we'll continue to see these little fun-size side quests, but I'm hopeful Game Freak will deliver the full-size Snickers this year.
Now, wrapping up the first half of this list kinda goes in tandem with the last point, being Totem Pokemon making a return. Kind of. See, the phrase Totem Pokemon should stay in Alola, but the idea of a large and very powerful boss Pokemon is something that should just stick with the Pokemon series for many years to come. I guess we do have that in a way with Dynamax and Gigantamax Pokemon, but at the moment, those battles are only known to be for max raid battles and gym battles, which feels like a standard practice. This is why it should go in tandem with longer side quests. Imagine you're doing a really long side quest in hopes of getting a big reward, and right when you're at the end, you find yourself faced off against a super powerful, buffed up Pokemon that won't be easy to beat. Despite people talking about how easy Sun and Moon were, the same can't really be said about their Ultra counterparts, as those Totem battles, along with Ultra Necrozma, were definitely a pain in the butt, but in a good and refreshing way. I'd like to see this make a return in Sword and Shield, as big boss battles just, like, you know, feeling like a necessity for any RPG at this point.
Starting the second half of this list, we've got a simpler feature being Rustling Grass. In Sword and Shield, we've seen our traditional random encounters joined by overworld encounters as well as exclamation point encounters. Each of them seem to provide different kinds of Pokemon, so I say the more the merrier. Rustling Grass in the Gen 5 games were great because they always had encounters that were either hard to find or fully evolved Pokemon like Tyranitar and Magnezone. More ways to find Pokemon is a good thing in my opinion, so I say bring it back. I know this is such a minor feature that most people might have forgotten about, but knowing what it's capable of giving the players is pretty exciting. So I really do hope Game Freak decides to bring back this long abandoned way of finding Pokemon.
One of the more light-hearted features that we're talking about today is the hopeful return of the Pokefinder. In Pokemon Sun and Moon, a nice relaxing side game players could take part in was using the Rotom Dex to take pictures of Pokemon in their natural habitats. Admittedly, the endgame of the Pokemon Finder was a little disappointing, and it only gave us a stamp in our passport to show that we hit a certain thumbs up goal. So many of us have had that itch to take pictures of Pokemon, as we haven't gotten a new Pokemon Snap and likely won't for a while. But this left many fans longing for more. Harking back to the side quest points, having the Pokefinder return, this could definitely add a bit more to please fans by introducing characters that will give us rewards if we take pictures of Pokemon in certain locations, as well as accumulating likes on our photos. Maybe even have real online integration to let players submit photos and have people from all over the world to vote on them in competitions to earn even more cool things in the games. It wouldn't even have to be forced in a Rotom or in a Pokedex once again in Sword and Shield, this time taking the form of a cell phone. And with the trend in video games of taking selfies in your surroundings or even with your enemies, feels like only natural that Pokemon continues in those footsteps.
I think we need to see the return of Pokemon contests. They probably weren't super popular in-game, which is why we haven't seen them in a non-remake Pokemon since Pokemon Platinum. But we've often seen Ash's female companions partake in contests as central plot points for them, so it's just weird that they wouldn't continue that aspect in-game. Oras reminded me of how much fun and cute contests were, and with the fact that Dynamax battles are essential to the Galar region for how flashy they are, I believe a perfect way to express it even further would be if Dynamax contests. Imagine a gigantic Pokemon performing insane moves that the entire crowd can feel from their seats. It would just be so perfect. If contests do return, the biggest thing I want though are the Pokeball seals. That allowed unique expression for the Pokemon inside of them, and contests wouldn't be the same without them. In fact, even if Game Freak doesn't bring contests back, they should still bring back seals, because they're the best.
I believe one of the biggest things we can all agree on is having the return of battle facilities and competitions, such as the Battle Frontier and the Pokemon World Tournament. These provided players a lot, and I mean a lot, of replayability, getting to test their might at some of the toughest trainers in the Pokemon world. Now, we've heard from Game Freak in the past that the reason we haven't seen the continuation of the Battle Frontier is because they believe only a small number of people would actually enjoy it and play it, while the majority would ignore it or just get frustrated with it. I can understand not wanting to put a lot of time and development into a feature that only a small amount of people will actually play. With the very small amount of post-game content that Pokemon usually offers, extra content like the Battle Frontier was always appreciated. Pokemon isn't always the most difficult, so it was nice to be humbled in the post-game by trainers that had more competitively built Pokemon. It's a long shot, but I think if Game Freak really wants to have players discover some surprises, one of the best ones they could give us would be the return of the Battle Frontier. I think most of us can agree on that.
And finally, the last feature we believe is one of the most wanted in any Pokemon game since its short-lived appearance: a journey to a second region. Yes, I think we can all agree in one way or another, we've all wanted to go outside of the region a game is set and embark on our second adventure. This was given to us in Pokemon Gold and Silver and returned once again in the remakes Heart Gold, Soul Silver. But that concept hasn't been touched since. People thought we might get a Kanto post-game in Ultra Sun and Moon, but it turns out all that Kanto talk was more of a hint towards Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Well, with Sword and Shield, they have a great opportunity to revisit that concept. You see, Galar, as you all know, is based on the UK, which in the past has had major beef with France, which Kalos is based on. They're so close to each other that it's only a 35-minute underwater train ride, and we all know that mysterious train in Corway Town. Perhaps it will finally have a purpose. Now honestly, I'm not quite sure if this is realistic. With how big the Galar region already is, especially with the wild area being about the size of 2 Breath of the Wild regions combined, I just don't see Game Freak having the time to add in an entire region in addition to the one they're giving us. But hey, I guess anything could happen. I just wouldn't hold out for it. There's just so much unfinished business in Kalos, even after Alola wrapped up Zygarde, so it would be fantastic if we could travel there once more. But yeah, being that Megas aren't returning, I'm doubtful we'll be visiting the region that introduced us all to it anytime soon. Well, that wraps up this list of features that everyone wants to see in Pokemon Sword and Shield. We're in the home stretch now, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. If even half of these features return or are fleshed out, I'll be beyond happy. And again, I have to say thank you so much to my friend Ruffled Route for joining me in this video.
So thanks for having me, Mystic, and remember, check out the video we did over on my channel, 10 Pokemon everyone wants to use in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and of course also check out my channel if you want to see other content, Pokemon Sword and Shield related and that sort of stuff. Feel free to check it out. Either way, I'll see you over there, guys.
If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and all kinds of other Nintendo content like Zelda, Fire Emblem, and much more. Want to support me further in Game Call Perks? Check out my Patreon. Daniel Leone, Lady Crimson, Memory Martin, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Awesome Lego, Jarrett Weiss Austin, Sudden Grider, and Enigma97 did, and I want to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Gumbrand, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.